item of business is to add two agenda items under old business for action tonight. So I would need a motion and a second to add these two. Got a motion and second. Let me read them just for the minute. So we'll have a resolution of Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing Macon-Bibb County to enter into an intergovernmental ground lease agreement with the Macon-Bibb County Industrial Authority relating to the north hangar of the former Bombardier premises at the Middle Georgia Regional Airport, so that the authority will be authorized and enabled to sublease such premises to Stevens Aerospace and Defense Systems, LLC, and for other lawful purposes. The second resolution is a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the mayor to transfer the Macon Baptist Association property located at 1080 2nd Street to the Urban Development Authority and for other purposes. Got a motion and second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of adding these two to the agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, so we'll add those to the agenda, and if there's no objection, I'm going to add the resolution for the intergovernmental agreement with the Industrial Authority as the first item under old business because of our people that are in attendance here. So that'll be the first item on, and then the Baptist Association bill will be the last item under old business for this meeting tonight. Moving ahead then, let's, now that we've got the agenda established, we want to start this meeting as we always do with an invocation and pledge of allegiance. We've asked Bobby Brown, the Pastor Bobby Brown from the Mount Calvary Baptist Church. Pastor Brown, if you'd be so kind as to come to the podium, and then we've got two of our smart students that are going to lead us in the pledge of allegiance. If y'all would stand behind Pastor Brown, and when he's through with the invocation, you lead us in the pledge of allegiance. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand as you are able for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Pastor Brown.
Shall we pray? Eternal God, the God of this universe, one who allowed us to be here, we come to give you thanks today. We pray, Lord, that you will bless these men and women who come together to make the decision for this city. We pray, Lord, that you give them wisdom, give them courage to stand and do the right thing. Now, Lord, we bless your name and we thank you. It's in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. Say it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Be seated. Pastor Brown, thank you again very much for being here and for giving our invocation. Pastor Brown is pastor of Mount Calvary Baptist Church in Macon, where he has served lead servant for over 23 years. Pastor Brown received an honorary degree of Doctor of Divinity. Currently, Pastor Brown serves as Vice President of the Christian Education Division of the Union Baptist Missionary Education Association and is the 6th District Moderator Coordinator under General Missionary Baptist Convention of Georgia. Thank you again, Pastor Brown. We appreciate you being here. Pledge of Allegiance was led by two of our students. Shundrill Miles is a 6th grader. Shundrill, would you stand for us, please, ma'am? Shundrill is a 6th grade student at Rutland Middle School. She is an A honor roll student and plays saxophone in the band. Shundrill is the president of the Young Ladies and Young Gentlemen of SMART, the South Macon Arts Renaissance Technology. I always get the thing mixed up on the South Macon Arts SMART. And she's president of the State Association of Youth Clubs, State of Georgia. Shundrill is an avid reader and loves to sing. Her aspiration is to become a top chef at a 5-star restaurant. Shundrill, thank you for being here. And Tyreek Bowman Tyreek Bowman is a second grade AB honor roll student at Hartley Elementary and a member of the Young Ladies and Young Gentlemen of Smart. He likes singing, dancing, and working on the computer. So, Tyreek, thank you very much for being here in Shenandoah. We appreciate it. When we hear so much this day and age about youth of the country going off on the wrong direction, it's mighty good to see two that are doing so well. So we wish you best of luck in all of your future endeavors, and thank you for being here tonight. Next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes. The pre-commission meeting of November 6th and the regular commission meeting of November 6th. Those minutes have been prepared and distributed. If there are any changes or corrections, please let me know that. If not, can I get a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Shepard, second by Commissioner Schlesinger. All in favor of approval of the minutes as prepared, signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the minutes are approved. The next item on our agenda is invited guests, and we're absolutely delighted to have Dave Gowan, who is the Bibb County Board of Education in charge of facilities and safety and maintenance and all kind of things. They keep Dave mighty busy over there, but he wants to talk to us tonight about pedestrian safety review. So Dave, please come to the podium, and you are recognized, and we appreciate all you do for us in all of your different capacities, school board and pedestrian safety, etc.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Macon-Bibb County Health Board. I'm chairman of the Health Board, and I'd like to ask Ms. Violet Poe to come forward. We have a certificate of appreciation for Ms. Violet Poe that states, "For your extraordinary service and dedication to the Pedestrian Safety Review Board, you have our many thanks." And I want you to know, this lady is the heart and soul of our Pedestrian Safety Review Board, so thank you from the bottom of our heart.
Yes, yes, by all means. Dr. Ellington also works hard on the Pedestrian Safety Review Board and is currently the chair. Is that right, yes. Commissioner Lucas? Good.
I'd like to say thank you to the mayor and the commissioners for your strong support of the Pedestrian Safety Review Board. This education portion of the Pedestrian on the Move grant project is just a small portion of the things that are being done on the Pedestrian Safety Review Board. Without the support of all of them, this would not be possible. Thank you very much, and thank you for helping us with our mission to help save lives here in Macon-Bibb County. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Val. Next item is public comments on agenda items, and I'm advised that there are no requests to speak to us on agenda items at this point. There are several requests to speak to us on non-agenda items, and we'll reserve those until later in the program. That takes us then to reports from our standing committees, and the first report is Operations and Finance, and that report will be given to us by Chairman Watkins. Chairman Watkins.
Thank you, sir. The Operations and Finance Committee met on November 13th, 2018, and took the following action. The committee approved the transfer of funds in the Sheriff's Office in the amount of $70,000 for the purchase of tasers. The committee also approved an ordinance amending the FY 2018 general fund balance to include $154,696,963, which included a supplemental appropriation of $435,651, and a supplemental appropriation for the transfer of $17,776,000 from multiple funds in the FY 2019 budget to account for outstanding purchase orders. The committee approved creating a new division by creating an Employee Relations Advisory Board to increase job satisfaction among employees. The committee accepted the following grants: one from the U.S. Department of Justice for state court in the amount of $595,695, and a second from the Georgia Office of Highway State Safety for Pedestrians on the Move program in the amount of $24,000. The committee approved the following SPLOST projects: $335,000 in renovations at Freedom Park, $25,000 for courthouse additions for architectural renderings of a parking deck, $159,000 for road and bridge improvements, $312,000 for sports lighting at Freedom Park, $300,000 for road and bridges improvements, list of various light improvements, stormwater emergency line item for the Chambers Road sinkhole in the amount of $42,679, and a contract with Dunwoody Beeland for architectural services from construction of new offices at Lake Tobosaki in the amount of $170,000. This concludes the operations and finance report.
Thank you, Chairman Watkins. Next is the Economic and Community Development Committee, and that report will be given to us by Vice Chairman Wynn. Vice Chairman Wynn.
Mayor, the Economic and Community Development Committee met on November 13th, 2018, and took the following action. The committee approved amending Chapter 2 of the Code to establish a Public Art Commission. The committee approved the establishment of the Macon-Bibb County Cultural Trust Commission and appointed Commissioners Schlesinger and Lucas, along with Mayor Rickard and his designee, to serve on the task force. The committee approved appointing Commissioner Larry Schlesinger to the Visit Macon Board of Trustees. This concludes the report of the Economic and Community Development Committee.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Wynn. Understand no report from Public Safety? Correct. Okay. That takes us into Facilities and Engineering Committee, and that report will be given to us by Chairman Jones. Chairman Jones?
Yes, sir. The committee approved the installation of 29 street lights along the intersections of Eisenhower Parkway, at Presidential Parkway, Bloomfield Road, Macon Tech Drive, and Oglesby Place, with installation costs to be paid by Eisenhower Business Improvement District and operating costs to be paid by Facilities Management Budget. Second item, the committee also approved the installation of 3 street lights on Hilltop Drive. And that concludes the report.
Very good. Thank you, Chairman Jones. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, and there are no applications for alcohol license, which we would normally take up, so that takes us then to old business. The first item of old business is the new business coming to town, and we're absolutely delighted. This is action that we just took in the pre-commission meeting, an executive session, and then an open session, and I'll ask the clerk to read this by caption for us.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing Macon-Bibb County to enter into an intergovernmental ground lease agreement with the Macon-Bibb County Industrial Authority relating to the north hangar of the former Bombardier premises at the Middle Georgia Regional Airport, so that the authority will be authorized and enabled to sublease such premises to Stevens Aerospace and Defense System, LLC, and for other lawful purposes.
Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. And boy, I think that's absolutely great news. They were out in the front talking to the press, but this is going to be a premier company moving into the old Bombardier hangar and doing wonderful work in aerospace and defense. We are thrilled and excited about that. Moving on, the next item of old business is item A, which is it pertains to the expansion of Okmulgee National Monument and trying to urge Congress to proceed with that boundary expansion, and specifically stating our intent to remove blighted and dilapidated structures from any parcel prior to its being conveyed to the Department of the Interior. I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to express support for the expansion of the Okmulgee National Monument boundaries and declaration of intent to demolish all dilapidated or blighted properties within the contemplated boundary expansion area at the expense of Macon-Bibb County as a precondition to conveying said properties to the National Park Service and for other lawful purposes.
Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is a resolution to provide Phase 1 improvements at Middle Georgia State University, the road and sidewalk improvements. I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to provide for Phase 1 of the Middle Georgia State University road and sidewalk improvements using SPLOST bond proceeds or revenues at a cost not to exceed $2.5 million to facilitate the construction of a new enrollment service center at the university, to authorize and direct the county staff and the SPLOST project coordinator to develop a funding plan for Phase 1 improvements, subject to final approval by the Commission, and to indicate support for providing for Phase 2 of the Middle Georgia State University road and sidewalk improvements, subject to future funding availability and approval by the Commission, and for other purposes.
Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. One no. The ayes have it. That'd be 8-1. And the resolution is adopted.
7-1.
I'm sorry, 7-1. Excuse me. That's 7-1 at 8. We're missing one, Commissioner.
Yes,
That was 7-1. I stand corrected. Thank you. And that takes us to item C, a resolution to enter into an agreement with Kavanaugh McDonald for actuarial studies regarding the new pension plan. And I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to request and enter into an agreement with Kavanaugh McDonald Consulting, LLC, to conduct an impact study regarding establishment a new 501A and 457B Macon-Bibb County Employee Pension Plan in an amount not to exceed $10,000 and for other lawful purposes.
The Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is an ordinance to enter into, to appropriate the $10,000 from fund balance to pay Kavanaugh McDonald, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
An ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to approve a supplemental appropriation for the transfer of up to $10,000 from fund balance in the FY19 budget to professional services contract consultant for the purpose of obtaining an actuarial impact study from Kavanaugh McDonald Consulting, LLC, to determine the impact of establishing a new Macon-Bibb County employee pension plan for newly hired employees and for other lawful purposes.
A Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. Next is a resolution pertaining to our schedule and the cancellation of the meeting that would have occurred on Christmas and the postponement by, or I should say the rescheduling by one day of the New Year's Day. And I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to approve the postponement of the Tuesday, January 1st, 2019 regular commission meeting until Wednesday, January 2nd, 2019 at 6 p.m. with the pre-commission meeting to be held immediately preceding said regular commission meeting at 5 p.m. and for other purposes.
All right, and again, the language of the resolution makes it clear that we're canceling the December 25th meeting. Is there further discussion? Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I was gonna say we should have the meeting at 4 o'clock, but are you?
Okay. If we need to, if that level of business comes down, we can certainly advise everybody. Right now, pre-commission at 5 and regular commission at 6 on January the 2nd. Thank you. Okay. Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is an ordinance to to transfer funds in the sheriff's department to allow him to purchase new tasers, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
An ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to approve a budget amendment to the FY19 budget for the transfer of funds in the amount of $70,000 from the Bibb County Sheriff's Department budget, operating supplies, ammunition line item, to the small equipment and improvements general line item for the purchase of tasers and for other lawful purposes.
Now, Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. Now next is a year-end ordinance to state the exact amount of the 2018 budget revenues and the exact amount of the budget expenditures, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
An ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to amend the FY 2018 general fund budget to $154,696,963 in total revenues and $154,696,963 in total expenditures, resulting in a supplemental appropriation of $435,651, and to amend the FY 2018 budgets of other funds where departmental expenditures were impacted, and other year-end adjustments.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. Next is an ordinance to carry over into FY19 some purchase orders, approximately $17 million worth of purchase orders from multiple funds, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
An ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to approve a supplemental appropriation for the transfer of $17,776,119 from the fund balance of multiple funds in the FY19 budget to account for outstanding purchase orders and for other lawful purposes.
The Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. Next is an ordinance to amend Chapter 2 of Article 6 of the Code and create an Employee Relations Advisory Board, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
An ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Article 6 of the inaugural Code of Macon-Bibb County by creating a new division, Division 15, for the purpose of creating an Employee Relations Advisory Board for the purpose of increasing job satisfaction among Macon-Bibb County employees and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. Next is a grant for the Bibb County State Court provided by the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Justice Program Grants, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the acceptance of a U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Justice Program grant in the amount of $595,695 that will provide funding for a total of 3 years awarded to the Bibb County State Court in substantially the same form as attached as Exhibit A and for other purposes.
The Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is item K, which is a grant to accept a grant, a resolution to accept a grant from the Georgia Office of Highway Safety, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to accept a grant from the Georgia Office of Highway Safety in the amount of $24,065 for the Pedestrian on the Move program and for other purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Lucas?
Thank you. I just want to mention, and I know we've had extensive discussion on all of these different items, and that's why you don't hear a whole lot of discussion here tonight. But on this particular one, I needed to say that we all want to express our appreciation to the Pedestrian Safety Review Board that has met on a regular basis for the last couple of years, and have not only been meeting, but have put some activities into place to bring about safety, greater safety for our citizens. Dr. Ellington has done a lot of community outreach activities. Mr. Gowan has involved the Board of Education in all of the activities. Health Department is involved. Violet Poe, though, is our Energizer Bunny. She just really is a spark plug, and she is the one who initiated the grant that was presented to the Pedestrian Safety Review Board and the mayor on last year. And because of the wonderful work that was carried out with this grant, then she did all of the things that had to be done, and we were successful in getting this grant again. Bibb County is the only entity that has a pedestrian safety review board, but you better believe a lot of folks are looking at Macon-Bibb as the example to follow. And so we're just very, very proud of that, and we want to salute that group and have them to come at some later time for recognition by the entire commission. And they're very anxious to report to Commissioner Shepard's committee, again, Dr. Ellington, on the progress and some recommendations for some additional pedestrian safety activities. So thank you for letting me share that, and thank you personally, all of you, for all the things that you've done for this community.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is a resolution to approve the 17th Amendment to the 2018 SPLOST timeline, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to approve the 17th Amendment to the 2018 SPLOST project timeline and budget as presented by the SPLOST project manager and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is an ordinance appropriating SPLOST funds for the Freedom Park Phase 2, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
An ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission approving and authorizing the appropriation of $335,000 from the 2017 SPLOST bond proceeds and/or 2018 SPLOST revenues from 2019 Parks and Recreation Freedom Park line item to 2018 Parks and Recreation Freedom Park item and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. Next is an ordinance to appropriate $25,000 for some additional engineering and testing on a location for the proposed parking deck for the courthouse addition, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
An ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission approving and authorizing the appropriation of $25,000 from the 2017 SPLOST bond proceeds and/or 2018 SPLOST revenues from 2020 Courthouse Addition Parking Deck line item to 2018 Courthouse Addition Parking Deck line item and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. Next is an ordinance to appropriate some SPOS funds for the local maintenance and improvement grant match, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
An ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission approving and authorizing the appropriation of $159,767 from the 2019 SPOS bond proceeds and/or 2018 SPOS revenues from 2020 Road and Bridges LMIG line item to 2019 Roads and Bridges LMIG line item, and for other lawful purposes.
The Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. Next is item P, which is resolution to execute an agreement with Musco Sports Lighting for lights at Freedom Park, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Musco Sports Lighting LLC in the amount of $312,000 for lighting to be installed at Freedom Park, to be paid by SPOS bond proceeds and/or SPOS revenues, and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is item Q, and that is the 2019 Local Maintenance and Improvement Grant and appropriating the match amount for it, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to apply for a 2019 Local Maintenance and Improvement Grant in the amount of $2,040,288.96, authorizing the acceptance of said funds and appropriating the required local match of $612,086.69, plus additional funding of $11,043.35, all to be paid from 2017 SPOS bond proceeds and/or 2018 SPOS revenues, Roads and Bridges LMIG line item, should said application be approved, identifying the list of road projects to be funded thereby, and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is item R, and that is a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation for preliminary engineering to replace the Tucker Road overpass and the bridge over Rocky Creek on Tucker Road, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation for the preliminary engineering to replace the Tucker Road overpass bridge at I-475 and the bridge on Tucker Road over Rocky Creek in the amount of $300,000 payable from 2017 SPOS bond funds and/or 2018 SPOS revenues, Roads and Bridges Tucker Road Bridge line item, and for other lawful purposes.
The Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is a resolution to appropriate some additional funds for the emergency repair at 4709 Chambers Road, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to amend a contract related to the sinkhole repair at 4709 Chambers Road to include sample boring to test for failures in the stormwater drainage pipes and installation of a new manhole for the cost of $42,679 payable from 2017 SPOS bond proceeds and/or 2018 SPOS revenues, stormwater management, emergency line item, and for other purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is item T, which is a resolution to retain Dunwoody Beeland Architects for design of Lake Tobesofkee improvements, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to approve a professional services contract with Dunwoody Beeland Architects for architectural services regarding the construction of a new offices at Lake Tobesofkee to include offices for staff, rangers, and check-in for park visitors in the amount of $170,000 to be paid from SPOS bond proceeds and/or SPOS revenues and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is an ordinance to create and establish a public art commission, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
An ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to amend Chapter 2, Article 6, Division 13 by adding sections 2-840 through 2-845 of the Code of Ordinances of Macon-Bibb County to establish a public art commission to provide an effective date and to provide for other lawful purposes.
The Economic and Community Development Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. That brings us to item V, which is concerning a cultural arts master plan, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to endorse and support the development of a cultural arts master plan, to appoint Commissioner Larry Schlesinger, Commissioner Elaine Lucas, and Mayor Robert A.B. Rickard or his designee to serve on the task force for the Macon-Bibb County Cultural Arts Plan and for other lawful purposes.
The Economic and Community Development Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is an appointment to the Board of Directors for Visit Macon Incorporated, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission appointing Commissioner Larry Schlesinger to the Board of Directors for Visit Macon and for other purposes.
Economic and Community Development Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is the installation of 29 streetlights along Eisenhower Parkway at the expense of the Eisenhower BID, with the cost of the electricity thereafter to be borne by Macon-Bibb County, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission approving a request for the installation of 29 streetlights along the intersections on Eisenhower Parkway at Presidential Parkway, Bloomfield Road, Macon Tech Drive, and Oglesby Place pursuant to Article 10 of Chapter 29 of the Macon-Bibb County Code of Ordinances, with installation costs to be paid by the Eisenhower Business Improvement District and operating costs to be paid from the Facilities Management Budget, Services to Government, Electricity line item, and for other lawful purposes.
Facilities and Engineering Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Mayor Pro Tem Tillman.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Eisenhower Education Corridor, I was introduced to it about 5 years ago through Commissioner Watkins and Mark Stevens. And this project has really come a long way under the leadership of Jamie Arnold, the Business Improvement District Chairman. I would just ask, Chairwoman, just ask people to ride out and just see the things that they're doing on that Eisenhower corridor, trying to maintain business. And I've even asked the mayor if he would, this past Friday, the presentation that you made, the connection between downtown and Eisenhower and just the transportation was just really something that I just wanted to be able to at one point for you to even share with this commission. It was just a great presentation, and to see this continuing to grow forward. And this is why I think we need more business improvement districts, and to see the work that they're doing. And really, if you get a chance, ride out on Eisenhower and you can see all the debris and the trees that's been moved, the center lane, because we know that is the second most traveled street next to Gray Highway. And these residents and citizens and businesses are trying to maintain businesses over there and keep them from moving. And doing the research, 31210 and 31204 are your areas where crime is high, and it's not in that area anymore. So please take notice and go by and just take a look at the work on the Eisenhower Education Corridor, and continue to support their effort. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Next is the installation of 3 street lights on Hilltop Drive, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission approving a request for the installation of 3 street lights on Hilltop Drive pursuant to Article 10 of Chapter 29 of the Macon-Bibb County Code of Ordinances, to be paid from the Facilities Management Budget, Services to Government, Electricity line item, and for other lawful purposes.
The Facilities and Engineering Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. And finally is the second item that we added to the agenda. This is about transferring the 1080 2nd Street property to the Urban Development Authority for redevelopment. I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the mayor to transfer the Macon Baptist Association property located at 1080 2nd Street to the Urban Development Authority and for other purposes.
The Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. That brings us then to new business, and there are several items of new business. So let me read quickly for you. The first is a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Rebuilding Macon Incorporated for minor home repairs for approximately 65 elderly or disabled low-income homeowners, with funding provided by the Community Development Block Grant Funds in the amount of $130,000. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Next is a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a second agreement with Rebuilding Macon, Inc. for minor home repairs for approximately 24 elderly or low-income homeowners, with funding provided by the Community Development Block Grant Funds to be administered through the Volunteer Youth Program in the amount of $52,000. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Next is a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept a FY 2018 Homeland Security Subgrant from the Department of Homeland Security in the amount of $25,604 to the Fire Department to purchase for the purchase of authorized equipment. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Next is a resolution to affirm the responsibility of all individuals to sanctify life and to condemn the horrific mass shooting attacks in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Thousand Oaks, California. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Next is a resolution authorizing the mayor to amend a contract related to deep patch and asphalt repair projects funded by the 2018 Local Maintenance and Improvement Grant to include asphalt patching on First Street, crosswalk repair at the intersection of MLK Jr. Boulevard and Cherry Street, and the installation of traffic loops on Rice Mill Road. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Next is item F. It's ordinance authorizing a supplemental appropriation to fund vacant positions in the Business Development Services Department. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. And then we have two resolutions regarding appointments to the Urban Development Authority. The first is a resolution to reappoint Rick Hutto and Kay Gearhart to serve as members of the Macon-Bibb County Urban Development Authority, and the second is to make a new appointment, resolution to appoint Charles Richardson to serve as a member of the Macon-Bibb County Urban Development Authority. I'm going to refer both of those to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Finally, there's an ordinance to amend the Macon-Bibb County Recreation Department organizational chart. I'm going to refer that to the Committee of the Whole. That is the end of the new business that was ready at this point for presentation. There may be other items, although it's going to be kind of rough sledding here with the holiday coming up this week. I'm not sure what additional items there may be. But when are we going to publish the agenda? On Wednesday?
Wednesday night. Tomorrow.
Oh my goodness. All right, so we're going to publish the agenda before we leave here for the holidays. So please check the agenda for other items that may come down and be added to the committee meetings, but we'll be here next Tuesday. That'll be the 27th. Thank you very much. At 9 o'clock in the morning for committee meetings back here in the committee meeting room. But check the agenda for additional items. That brings us now to public comments on non-agenda items. And the first, we've got Mr. Donald Richardson, who wants to give us some grassroots reflections. Mr. Richardson, always good to see you, sir, and thank you very much for being here with us. You're recognized for 5 minutes, sir.
Record. I can best preserve the legacy of Frederick Chopin, Sergei Rachmaninoff, Maurice Ravel, Claude Debussy, Alexander Scriabin, Ludwig van Beethoven, Johannes Brahms, Johann Sebastian Bach, Robert Schumann, Franz Schubert, Mozart, Haydn, and other classical composers, piano works on an acoustic piano with a mechanical action that strikes the strings, and also as well as a pipe organ of the organ works of these same classical composers where compressed air is released through metal and wooden pipes. Now, with the God-given gift that I have, I am constantly being challenged by people who are trying to pull me off of this tradition. I have to work with an acoustic piano with mechanical action that strikes the strings because it has spiritual significance. Okay, and also with a pipe organ, preferably with the air. So, as long as I live and I am cultivating this art form, if I have anything to do with it, I'm just putting on record that this is the best means that I can pass on this legacy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richardson. We appreciate that and appreciate your comments and being here with us tonight. Next, Mr. Wade Horton wants to talk to us about items of concern at the Transit Authority. Mr. Horton, thank you for being here with us. Thank you for your patience. You're recognized for 5 minutes, sir. Just a little bit to your left. There it is. Now you got it. Yes, sir.
Good evening. How y'all doing today?
We're fine. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Before I get started, can you tell me who is not here so I know who I'm talking to?
Commissioner Allen is absent tonight.
Okay.
Commissioner Jones has stepped out, and Mayor Pro Tem Tillman has stepped out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's still 7 of us here.
Okay. Thank you. Before I get to talk about what I want to talk about, I want to see if the Rules Committee could look at the call for question when you guys have it. I noticed with the old council, when the commissioner spoke about an issue, that commissioner that spoke did not have the authority to call for question. It only went to someone who did not speak. Because I think it'll be fair if if you call for question, you shouldn't be the last one to speak and give your opinion. That's just my opinion. Last meeting, I spoke about the transit authority proposal to cut certain routes out of certain areas of town, which will affect just about everybody up there. Transit authority is a very good system, and it affords a lot of people the opportunity to get around our magnificent city. But certain areas are threatened, and we need to protect, and I encourage you guys to do that. There was a point of personal privilege at the end of the meeting that did not respond to that at all, but it talked about a bench, and kudos for a bench getting repaired in 48 hours. There's a great department at the Transit Authority that take care of that kind of stuff and remove trash when they are notified that it happens, so that's not surprising. Kudos should be given when things are done that benefits the people that makes that transit authority their means of transportation, such as kudos should be given when the air is fixed instead of riding around in a hot bus all summer. That's when kudos should be given. Kudos should be given when there are shelters put up throughout the city for people to stand under because of either hot or inclement weather, instead of on the main corridors of Macon, such as Mercer, Riverside Drive, where Pine on, where most traffic drive by. I understand the traffic don't drive by in a lot of these neighborhoods that do not have shelters, so I'm not saying that's the reason, but it makes you think or wonder. Kudos should be given. Well, before I say this, I spoke to commissioners privately several months ago, and I was telling them about the money that was requested for salaries to be raised. And the ones I spoke to were under the impression that all salaries were raised. They were not. Paratransit salaries did not go up. Kudos should be given when you give everybody a raise instead of just a select few. Kudos should be given, but they should be earned. And as I stated last time, I would encourage you guys to look at where they're beginning to make cuts to services in your districts and protect your constituents, because we're going to rely on you. And we're looking to see if you're saying anything or not saying anything. There are no stories about it in the newspaper. Now, all of a sudden, there's going to probably be a required meeting for everybody to attend, but no one's going because there's not going to be any publicity for it. So please protect us, protect your constituents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Horton. We appreciate you being here and appreciate your comments, sir. Finally, Jake Farrow. Mr. Farrow wants to talk to us about suggestions for financial improvement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, County Commissioners.
Recognized for 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. On October 16th, I did present the majority of what I'm going to present again tonight, and for sounding redundant, I apologize for that, but I think it's absolutely critical. I have several items, they're suggestions. Number one, cut salaries for all managers and above positions by 10% effective immediately. Cancel all contracts except the one that's being used now. The mayor received approval to eliminate the defined benefit plan. And then for item number 12, which I'll get to in a second, implement a three-part plan to eliminate the defined benefit plan, and that is shut down the current plan and in its place install a 457B for the current employees and an annuity plan or something similar for all the current retirees. Key benefit of this initiative is to place the retirement responsibility in the hands of the individuals. I think everyone would agree with that. Implement either a public-private partnerships or foundations/endowments to manage and operate entities such as the following: Douglas Theater, Bowden Golf Course, Tubman Museum, the Theron Usury John Drew Tennis Center, South Macon Recreation Center, Memorial Park Rec Center, Freedom Park Rec Center, Herbert Smart Airport. The Grand Opera House I think is a good example of a public-private partnership that's ongoing right now. Number 5, conduct an in-depth evaluation of the hotel-motel tax, the list of recipients. There's approximately $4 million at stake. The old formula for distribution of the hotel-motel tax is outdated. In addition, there are several entities who are attracting tourism visitors year-round, but do not receive hotel-motel tax funds. And right off the top, out of the $4 million, the city should take 20% of it and use it for beautification of the city itself, and the rest should be allocated to all those entities that do bring in tourism. Number 6, all nonprofits currently receiving millage tax dollars are to make plans to be self-sufficient by July 1 of 2019. The library and MTA might be the only exceptions, but they also must become more cost-efficient, more cost-effective. Number 7 is to assign the responsibility to CVB for the oversight for all tourism events throughout the city, including events like the Cherry Blossom Festival, sports hall events, Bragg Jam, etc. We need someone to be in charge of that overall emphasis. Number 8, conduct an in-depth evaluation for combining several standalone entities and house them together in the proposed Chamber of Commerce new facility on Poplar Street. Entities such as Economic Opportunity Council, Planning and Zoning, Urban Development Authority, Industrial Authority, Land Bank Authority, etc., etc. The benefits include better communication and improved productivity. Once completed, yearly business plan reviews must be held with the mayor and the county commissioners. Number 9, reassign Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful under the auspices of the Cherry Blossom Festival. It was run that way for 30 years with one person, and it should go that way again. Number 10, implement a project that would provide naming rights to significant entities such as Central City Park, Auditorium, Coliseum, Senior Citizen Center. I could see the Senior Citizen Center being called the AARP Center, Central City Park being Geico. Cities are doing that across the country. Establish an oversight committee for SPLOST. And the main thing there on the SPLOST would be to reallocate funds, put at least $30 million in the blight removal, and remove the Parks and Recreation by $30 million. I won't go into details on that. Number 12, conduct a management, this is the one I referred to earlier, a thorough management performance initiative that we would study all departments, all individuals working in Macon-Bibb. I believe there's at least 10% of improvement in cost performance if that were to be done. So that would be one of 2 consultants that I would use. One would be, of course, for the defined benefit plan. Number 13, have the county commissioners develop, and the mayor and local leaders develop a common vision for our city. We need a common vision that would be adopted by all organizations in the city, not just 2 or 3 organizations. And so that would tie us all together. Number 14, place a moratorium on all the construction of new facilities which do not have proper funding to operate and manage. In other words, if you build a brand new facility that's going to require additional millage tax money, then it should be shelved until we find a way to pay for that.
Mr. Farrow, your time has expired,
Well,
sir.
I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you for the opportunity, and also happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Thanks.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, sir. No points of personal privilege, lights are on, and we've reached the end of our agenda, so can I get a motion to adjourn? Got a motion, and without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Did you know Sarah Hunt's husband died? Sarah Hunt's husband died.
Stella.
Sarah Hunt,
Oh, sir,
husband
I
died.
did hear that. I did hear that just a day or two ago.
Died on 15th.